Of the becoming, the self that rises every morning is the self that keeps on coming into fuller expression, into wider and more true. The rising house of who you are is always rising through. Rise up, rise into the full, the rising house. The rising house is a self in full ascent. The rising house is the most magnificent of all the architectures that the living has to give. The rising house of the self is the fullest way to live. Every dawn is the foundation of another rising day. Every choice is the architecture of the rising underway. The self that rises fully into everything it is. The rising house of the self is the most